Hi everyone, this is Steve with Discover Spiritism, and tonight I'm joined with
Yonara
and Luide.
And we want to talk about reincarnation. In our last episode we were talking about suicide, and we started to talk a little bit about reincarnation, and what I wanted to say was that reincarnation is really a solution to a lot of problems that people have as far as believing that there's anything after afterlife ends after death, that there's an afterlife. Reincarnation is really like the solution to a whole variety of different problems,
or the answer, not only the solution, but also the answer of a lot of things that we see in the world today. Right? A lot of people, the word reincarnation is used, but people have no idea it's actually a huge subject, right, inside Spiritism, and is a big part of Spiritism. And because of the Hindus, Buddhism, Hinduism, they believe in reincarnation a little bit different than the Spiritists do. And there is a lot of questions over that am I going to go back as an animal? Am I going to go back as a plant? Or answer of the things when you see a lot of people in the world, a lot of kids in the world being born already sick, right? People being born in countries that they have no food, no water, while other countries has everything. So if there is a God, and is why he's selecting people to be born in Africa without any food, or on a very poor country, or even that, select them to be born without any limbs or with a damaged brain. What does this prove? Why people are born like this? Why there is different social classes? Why there is different language? Right? Why there is different culture?
Without reincarnation, then you have to just assume that God loves certain people more than he loves other people.
Yeah.
Because he gave me an easy life, and somebody else was born in Syria during the Civil War. That's where my mind always goes. I always go to Syria.
Exactly, all those kids being killed in Syria by gas.
Born in these tough situations, like tough economic, tough political, tough sociological.
Or tough body.
Yeah, or a tough body. Yeah,
that,
or just being like born in a
and with brain damage, for an example. And I think there is also a huge problem. That's why people are believing in God less and less and less, because it is hard to believe in God and not to believe in reincarnation.
If God is just,
yeah,
and the way religion presents it, that you have this one life, you have one chance, and if you look at it that way, and then you would logically say that God is unjust. If there is a God, he's unjust.
And now, God is just, God is very good, and he controls everything. And then he put an earthquake in Haiti and killed 250,000 people. Yeah. The poorest country in the world. Yeah. Could he control that? Huh? I mean, seriously. So it's easy for you that is sitting down in front of your 75-inch TV, having your 3 meals a day in a wonderful country that we live in. You have your job, you have everything. You were born here with a wonderful family. So why God put me in this wonderful family that loved me here? My father had a good job. My mother had a good job. I had wonderful brothers. And today I'm 40-something years old, and I'm living a good life, right? It would be much different if you was born in Asia without a leg, or without an arm, or with a brain damage, and God just put me there just to prove my faith, if I'm going to believe in him. I don't even know what is faith when I was born with brain damage, right? Why he put me there like that? Is God fair? What's going on? Right? So that's the question that people are asking, and they distance themselves when their son gets sick, and the neighbor's son is healthy. Why my son had to get cancer and the other kid did not? What's going on? If God is in control, why doesn't he cure everybody in the world? Why doesn't he give food to everybody in the world? The other day, this guy asked me this.
There is this belief that also said, God is testing their faith. Okay, but why? Why you're not testing
Does
your
he
faith?
know everything?
Your
He doesn't
faith.
know the past?
Test your faith, and then it's okay. Why does he pick and choose which one is gonna be tested? So I think that the reincarnation, it brings the belief of God, but it has to be well explained, because people don't understand reincarnation. They think that reincarnation is when you are the victim of God is punish you for something that you did wrong in your past life.
It's not a karma process.
It's not a karma process like other religions teach you. It's not the fact that you're here to pay for something. You're not. You're here to love. And doesn't matter where you come from, your mission is the same as mine. We need to learn how to love each other.
It's hard to talk about reincarnation without really talking about all the divine laws.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So that's why I always say it's really hard to talk about one thing without talking about everything.
But we're going to
Exactly.
focus now, because a lot of people believe that reincarnation it's a result of karma.
Yeah.
So in Spiritism, this word does not exist. There is no karma.
And I think if you speak to somebody who's actually, Hindu or Buddhist about karma, their idea of karma is more similar to ours, to our idea of cause and effect, than the average person who just uses the word karma very casually. And, I think they misunderstand the actual, because the word karma actually means deeds.
Right.
It's what you do. So
It's-
when you say karma as a deed and we talk about cause and effect, it makes more sense.
Right.
Yes, and it's not only cause and effect, it's also the growing, the learning possibilities that people don't think about it when we talk about reincarnation, okay? Because if you want to develop yourself, you will need different experience in life. So that's why you have in Earth, we have a school that you can also be born as, American one life, and then the very next life you can be a Muslim, and then you can go to Australia, and you can go to Brazil, and you can go to Africa. So you will need different schools to learn something. Like for an example, yes, you can be born in Africa, and then you will learn how to be humble. That's a great school for humble. So if you have a problem, a huge problem with pride, for an example, I'm so proud to be in America, and you think that God bless America, it's like if you're so patronized and you have so much of pride, you might want to get a little bit of an experience on your next life living in a poor country, and that will bring you the humbleness, that you need, because pride will also bring you a lot of suffering. So people don't look at reincarnation as a learning possibility, a learning experience. They look at it as cause and effect only, and that's not only the case. Of course, you can. Some people, yes, if you damage your lung because you smoke so much, yes, in your next life you might have a little trouble on that area.
Have asthma.
Have asthma,
Something like that.
or stuff like that. But there is also a great school, and you will need, in order to be perfect, in order to evolve as a spirit, you will need that school. You need the earth school. So you will need that little bit of everything, everywhere, and to build the sense of humanity.
It would be humility. So, but the thing is, it's very important that you said that. But it's not God that is going to put you to be born in a country, poor country. It's your choices that make you, force you, go into that school. Right? You're very weak in math. You're going to need a strong math teacher. Right? So you're very weak in humility. You're going to have to be born in a place to learn how to be humble. But it's not God putting you there. It's your own necessity as a spirit that pulls you there. Okay? Because there is free will. God gave you free will. But remember, if you do love, you pull love. If you do hate, you pull hate. That's it. This is you now. I don't interfere with anything. It's you from now on. Okay? I have here the universe for you two guys to grow and populate the universe. I created, and by you guys are the owners.
You
right?
handle.
You handle. So if you have a problem with racism, right? Where your hate racism is going to put you to? Guess.
I mean, I would even just say a country, not just one country, but maybe a really ethnically diverse country.
Exactly. For you to learn how to deal with what?
You might be born as a lower class person in an ethnically diverse country.
Exactly. So if you have a problem with sexuality, what's gonna pull you into? If you have a lot of hate in your heart, and so on and so forth, right? But there is those basic stuff that is hard to talk about everything, right? The spirit, the perispirit, right? When you eat a lot, you're gonna be damaged. This spiritual body, and this spiritual body is gonna be the form of your next body. But this is too much to go into it. So, but we need to focus here on the moral part of reincarnation that people has a hard time understanding, and will help people also to understand God. Because without understanding reincarnation, I'll say this, there is no way to believe in God. No way. Because if you don't understand the basic system, it's gonna be hard to understand the major thing on the top.
And I think it's important too, because once, like before I found Spiritism, somebody started talking to me about reincarnation, and I was like, I'm really not sure if I believe in it. So I started reading about Spiritism with an open mind. I'm just reading the literature, and I'm going, this makes a lot of sense. Like when you put one thing to the next thing, and when you put it all together, it makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
But for me, like the most important thing is about like not just to know the reincarnation, because it really doesn't matter. I mean, just my opinion, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. What really matters is how you live your life. You know?
Right.
So and knowing that reincarnation is a divine law, accepting it as a fact, should change the way we live our lives.
It should, because say, listen, I hate Brazilians, right? I'm going to live my life hating Brazilians. So if you believe in reincarnation,
stuck in a Spiritist center full of them.
Yes. So if you know that reincarnation does exist, is a process. What's going to happen to you? You're going to be born in Brazil. To start learning, you're going to hear that language. First of all, you're not going to adapt, right? You're going to be sick as a baby just to be born in there, because the hate is in you, but you're going to learn how to love. Right? So,
and there is another thing about reincarnation too, is the family context. You know, like if you really have a problem with another person, and the best way to solve that problem is actually if you do come as family members. And some people don't really understand that. How come some mothers have trouble accepting their own kids, and how come they're more, sometimes it's not that they love one, that they love another, but they have more affinity to that one child than they have it with another, how do you explain that? And families are, sometimes there are people that are connected by past experience, but sometimes there were people that had a really, really hard time. And the best way to solve this is when you put this as soul tie as a family, and most of the time it does work.
It does.
It does work. So think about it. If you have a son or a daughter that it was your wife on your past life and she cheated on you and you got so hurt by it, and now
you never forgave her.
And you have this thing, and now she is your son or a daughter. and how differently you're going to look to that person. And because think about it, if we're all connected in a universe, we will have to love everybody eventually. That's the goal, and when you have trouble with that, some people, the lessons is to learn how to love them. And the best way is to put them together as a family.
We really have to break free. Like, if I have a family member that really gets on my nerves, is to actually like be aware of it. Like, this person bothers me, but not just to like feed that. Like, you have to look at it and say, okay, like,
I need to fix this.
Like, what did I do? Like, what happened? What is it in me that bothers me so much about the person?
And you need to fix it. You need to focus. You're not going to focus that one that you already have a good affinity to it. You're going to focus that one that you don't have. Spiritism teaches that in a family cell, they are the biggest enemies of the past. Sometimes.
Yeah. It's not a rule, but usually,
it's not a rule, of course.
If you think about it, it's a good way for you to actually fix those little things.
How are you going to love your enemy?
That you happens in the past. And Stephen is right. It should change your life when you believe in reincarnation, because you're gonna think that, okay, this is not my only life, so I don't have to have the anxiety that says, oh, I need to do everything now, because we only live at once. No, we don't live at once. We live a couple times.
Thousands of times.
A lot of logical and a lot of things that, why do we have kids that are born with 3 years old that can play the piano? How come we have mad genius, that it doesn't even come from a smart family? How do you explain those little things if it's not in reincarnation?
Science is looking into the genes.
Yes.
And they're not
finding
the answers.
Of course, some of it might be in there, but not the things that we're talking about.
Not the root of the intelligence is not in the genes. It's in the spirit.
Yeah, and think about it, like how you, Steve, like one subject more than another. Where did that taste come from? How come you have kids? Look at this school. You always will have that kid that is smarter, not smarter, but it has more, how am I going to say?
Touch for learning.
Yeah, it learns easier and quicker than the other. There is nothing wrong with the other kids, but that particular one, it seems to get everything so quick and everything
on your own family. If you have siblings, they're all different and they're all raised by the same parents.
Yeah, the personality is completely different, and you can tell personality comes when you're 2, 3 years old. You can tell that.
It's an old man already on the body of a baby.
Yeah, it's something that they like more and something that they don't like. So we came in, okay, we don't remember. And the question is, the most people do ask is, okay, then why don't we remember? We are lucky. We should not remember. We can. There was, regression. There was tools to go there and get that information if you really need to. But it's a blast actually to forget, because we only forget events. We don't forget who we are. Who we are, it doesn't matter the name that we have. You're Stephen right now, but Stephen is just your name. Your essence is so much more than being Stephen. I love the example that they do in the movies. They have, I watched I think 5 or 6 different movies that they switch bodies.
It's a popular kind of movie.
It's
Vice versa, Freaky Friday, 13 going on 30. It's been like.
But it's a great example how reincarnation is, because we are so attached to this. So I'm thinking that I'm Yonara, but if I go to a different body,
it's going to be just a different body, but it's still the same essence.
It's still the same essence.
So if you want to know what you were in a past life, just look at yourself now. It's not a lot of difference. Believe me, it's not.
And then if you look at it, you can tell that what you forget is the events that you've been through. That you forget. But your essence, you bring it with you. Your intellectuality, most of the time, you bring it with you. And those are the things that you're going to take it with you also. So unfortunately, the car is going to stay, the house is going to stay, the job is going to stay.
Keep all that stuff.
The money is going to stay.
The money is going to go in somebody else's hands.
Yeah, but whatever you build, if you, in this lifetime, you learn to be more patient, okay? And that is a virtue that you conquer in this life. Your next life, you're going to be this little baby and this little kid that is so patient.
Exactly. You're never going to lose that. As soon as you conquer that, it's yours forever.
Yeah.
Virtues.
Virtues. And if you have compassion, the same thing. If you, in this life, you learn how to be compassionate, you're going to be that kid that was born with 3-4 years old that is completely different than the other and has so much compassion, So it's the thing. It's easy to understand, but you cannot go crazy on it. You cannot think like, oh, this is you gotta pay for what you done. Oh, you
pain. You were born this way because you pain because you were evil past life.
There is a lot of ways that you can look to this complex subject, and it's just. Wonderful to realize that we can talk about it and it makes a lot of sense.
It's I mentioned before too, like about how a lot of times I wonder what happened in my past life, and what led me into this life, like why I was born, why I ended up like getting cancer when I turned about 14 years old, like all these things, and I have a feeling it has something to do with past life stuff. But like I don't believe I'll really know all the answers until I'm back in the spirit world. I can probably go to the library and look at all this kind of stuff. But what's important to me, it's right now is not important like where I came from and what happened to me before. What's really important to me is like where am I going? What am I going to do with it? Like,
why are you here?
What am I going to do with this opportunity that I have
now
on this planet? For the next few years.
Yes.
Exactly, and a lot of people. Don't think about this, Stephen, but it's not a very good idea for you to go back. It's not. And Spiritism tells you don't do it unless you really need it. I have a friend that once she wants to go and do one of this regression, and okay. And I said, why? She said, I'm just curious. I want to know. And in her case, it was something very, very difficult that happened to her because she found out that her husband, the actual husband that she had in this life, actually killed her on her past life. So anyway, she went back a few lives and she basically saw that she was always had this person that is the love of her life, and that every time she met this person, the husband will come and did something, and something went bad. And she did a couple regression, and then she came to the sense that she looked at her husband and she started to be mad at him, be really mad and irritated at him because she was, I have this love of my life somewhere and you are always there in my way.
Yeah, most husbands are saying their wives are bringing up stuff from the past, but she really brought
she
stuff
really brought
she
things
was,
from the
let me
past.
tell you.
And guess what happened? She ended up getting a divorce. After that, she couldn't deal with him being in the same house and all that. So people think, it's not something that you want to go unless you really need it, because you made a really good point. It doesn't matter. The person that you are, it's your events doesn't even matter. Event is something that you go through to learn something, and then you go from that. They are not that important, but people still think the events are so important at their lives, and the events will pass.
A lot of the question
Experience.
that I read also from the religious people that, Luigi, you believe in reincarnation? Yes, I do. So how come the population of the world keeps growing? This is another subject that we cannot talk in only half a minute. But Spiritism does explain that also. And we can make another podcast related to that. Right? And I just want to
give the answer.
Time.
You can give the answer to that one really quick.
Well, you can. Okay, so as the Spiritism teaches, we see in Genesis, in the Spiritist book, that the population of the world, when the spirits are coming here, it didn't start. We don't believe that it started with Adam and Eve. That is a story on the Old Testament. It's just a story. That didn't happen like this. The population of the world was brought in and full. And while that we have here today, 7.5 billion incarnated, and we have another 25 billion disincarnated. So there is this cycle that keeps changing. From certain amount of years, of course, the population is going to grow. But then, like now, we're getting now stopping is not growing as much, and it's going to get to a point that it's not growing as much. It's going to get to a point that it's going to start coming down. So those are cycles, right? So we don't believe in Adam and Eve. We believe in evolution. And when the planet was populated with life, it was populated in months, right, all over the planet. And evolved through the process of evolution through billions and billions of years, right? So the population was always here. It's not that everybody was incarnated at the same time. So it's a cycle. And now, value life because it takes a couple of hundred years for you to come back here.
There is a guy that did a study and was pretty interested. Like he did it, like they say that the spiritual world has 5 times more of the population than what we do have it here. So, and then he did the math, like how many people will die and how many people were born a day. And then he took like a little percentage, like maybe 10% that it doesn't
come back.
That doesn't come back here anymore. That that are almost like in charge or something and doesn't incarnate anymore. And his math was pretty interesting. That he said, okay, if you are a regular person, it might take you like 300 years to get another chance.
Can you imagine that? 300 years? Now that's another subject that we need to talk about. What happened while you're on the other side? So
yeah, what happened when between lives? Because people think that you're that sleeping. No, there is a life.
There is a life on the other side, and it's not. Sometimes they're not so good, but for those who love, are good.
And one thing that is very interesting to me is that in the United States, the Native American always believe in the spiritual world. They know that there is a dimension that it's part of the world. It's one world but different dimension, and the Native American always believe in a spiritual world.
It's the only nation that only race that only believe in the spiritual world was the Native Americans.
Yes, and they have these firm beliefs that
life goes on.
That life goes on the spiritual world, that you just leave, you go to a different dimension. But that's another topic.
Yeah, that's another podcast for another, because we talk about Genesis.
Yes.
And it all starts to make sense. We talk about Genesis and the spiritual world, and how our material world is actually secondary to the spiritual world.
Yes.
And how life actually started. I mean, I actually went to I saw a lecture the other day. The guy was talking about the vital principles. So he was talking about starting from the spiritual principle. He's talking about the universal cosmic fluid. It's very deep stuff.
Yes.
And he talked about it, and I read about it, and then I said, okay, I've read this stuff before. I was like, you can keep talking about it, because it's really hard to even picture it when you can't see it. We have our 5 senses that we kind of interact with the world. It's really hard to
go
imagine
a step above,
that you can't see, feel, or touch. You know, you can't taste it, you can't or anything. But
Yes.
so I'm very glad I went to the lecture. I got a better understanding of it. But that's definitely a good topic for
Definitely.
for another day.
And before we finish, I just want to say something. The reincarnation process, it's something, your next life is going to be built for the choice that you make now, for the virtues that you acquire now. And the things that you hate, the things that you judge, the things that you are indifferent for, is going to be your meal on the next life. It's going to be your first thing that you're going to have to deal with on the next life. That's the foundation of your next life. All those things, because are those things that you need to deal with it, right? So I just want to put this over there. And we see a lot. It's not punishment from God. It's you attracting this lesson to you. Oh, I don't like white people. I don't like this. I don't like that. I judge this. I judge that.
It's just because the main, like I said in the beginning, the main mission is that eventually we're gonna have to love each other. Eventually we're gonna have to accept each other. Eventually we're gonna have to see everybody as brothers and sisters. And until that, that's what we're.
And this answers the question why we are all here.
I just wanted to make
love one another.
I just wanted to make a comment about what Stephen is saying and how much more we have to learn, because we actually live in a planet like the planet Earth. It's 70% water. And the things that we don't study at all is the water. So we have no idea what's under the ocean.
We
Deep
know
down there.
3% of the ocean surface.
Exactly.
Luigi just said that in a lecture 2 years ago.
Exactly. So we have no idea. So we can say that we live on a planet that we don't know most of the stuff we don't know. Okay? And then another thing, that we have a body that we also don't know, because there is so much that the science don't know about the body. There is the brain, they talk about it. Science don't even know what the brain capability is.
It was not too long ago, I read that they discovered another tendon inside the knee that they didn't know about. Like, we've been cutting open bodies for 200-300 years and dissecting them longer. Then they just discover, and it's not like a gene or something like tiny. It's like
the tendon.
A tendon.
And then,
wow.
And then,
like, how much else have we missed?
And also, think about it, that how many disease there is out there that science have no idea. Autoimmune disease, or we don't know what's causing. We have no idea what the answer is. Look at psychiatric problems. People that are born with psychiatric problems are in trouble, because the science doesn't help. It puts a little bandage that, and that's it.
If you're born
so
blind,
we can
they
say
give you a dog,
Exactly. So we can say that we live in a planet that we don't know, and we also live in a body that we don't know. And how come we want to know everything? And then when you talk about, there is this spiritual world, I don't believe that. That is impossible.
We're going to live only one life. How can you learn all this in one life?
And then you can tell that if you really look at it, we don't know anything. We basically don't know. And for us to tell, that does not exist, you have no idea, because you are living in a body.
Very pretentious to say that.
That you don't know. So open up your mind and your perspective that the world is much more than what we think it is.
It's like look in the ocean and say there's no fish.
Yeah, just look at it and say, look at the universe and say that how many planets is just like Earth. So you can say that, okay, there is so much more that we need to learn, and let's
And reincarnation is one of the subjects that we need to dip in.
So, if I'm a person, I'm not a spiritist, I'm from the outside, maybe I'm seeing this podcast for the first time, and I want to learn more about reincarnation. Do you have a suggestion? What kind of books I should read, or where I should go?
Yeah. If you get the Book of Spirits, the Spirits book.
Spirits book by Allan Kardec.
The Spirits book by Allan Kardec. The book was published in 1857. It's a book containing 1,019 questions about everything related to the spirit and the spiritual world and who we are. That's where we start at. After you read that book, you read it again. And after you read it again, you read another one. One more time, because it's a book with more than 400 years of knowledge in there. So that's what you need to start, on the basics. And then, if you want to ask questions, talk about something that you do not understand, come and see us.
Let's say I am a spiritist. I've read the Spirits book. What's the next thing I should read if I want to learn about reincarnation?
Heaven and Hell is a great book. Yes, that's the second book you should read. The half of the book is going to talk about the other religion, what is heaven and what is hell. And then after that, there is interviews with spirits on the other side for you to take a grasp a little bit what's going to happen to you after, and what the basics of other religions are, and what the basic of Spiritism is, right? Genesis also is going to be a great book, right?
Specifically about reincarnation, though?
Yeah, it's because it's for you to... Reincarnation is one science within Spiritism. And you need to connect all the dots in there. Okay? And the Spirits book, Heaven and Hell, by Allan Kardec also, and Genesis, that's a good beginning for you. Remember, we have 5,000 books in a subject, so...
I keep working on it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes.
So you can visit us on the web at BrowardSpiritistSociety.com.
Yes.
You can go to Facebook.com/Broward Spiritist Society. You'll see our live videos in English and Portuguese,
Right.
and other videos and events happening here. And then we're also on YouTube at Living Spiritism.
Yeah.
And you can also email us info@BrowardSpiritistSociety.com.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, well, it's been an enlightening episode. So we thank you very much, Luigi. Thank you, Yonara.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. I don't know if I'm the host or what I am.
Yes, pleasure all mine.
It's been a pleasure talking to you guys, and we'll see you next time.
See
All
you.
right.